Good afternoon and welcome to the Centennial celebration of the Missoula County Courthouse. The completion of the courthouse was one of many noteworthy events and locally in the year 1910. Glacier National Park was created by an act of Congress. Mother Teresa was born. Mark Twain, born in 1835 as Halley's Comet swept by Earth, died as he predicted he would when the comet returned 75 years later in 1910. Father's Day was created, as were the Campfire Girls, Boy Scouts, and 4-H clubs. The Big Burn occurred in August of 1910. 100 people died in a conflagration mainly along the Idaho-Montana divide that altogether covered an area the size of Connecticut. If you haven't yet visited the Big Burn exhibit at the Historical Museum in Fort Missoula, you need to put it on your to-do list. Executive Director Bob Brown, his staff, and volunteers have done an excellent job. In 1910, Missoula's fire department had 2 steam engines, 3 independent hose carts, 1 hook and ladder truck, and 8 paid firemen. The United States had 1,000 miles of concrete road in 1910, but the city of Missoula had no paved streets. In May, however, the first electric streetcars started running, replacing the horse-drawn cars. Higgins Avenue, by the way, was paved in 1912. The Milwaukee Railroad Station, now the Boone and Crockett Club, opened, and the present Penwell building at the south end of the Higgins Avenue Bridge was constructed as a hotel to serve the new station's passengers. The still new Missoula County High School, now Hellgate High School, graduated its 2nd class that year. Jeanette Rankin was still a student at UM, which consisted of just 4 buildings. The law school would not open until the following year. As Stan Cohen puts it, other than Butte, which was still the biggest and most important city in the state, Missoula was bustling and expanding every year with timber, trade, and the university. We've done our best, commissioners have over the years here, to take good care of the building. For example, we upgraded the windows and doors in 2002. The exterior of the courthouse was repaired and recolored in 2003. 4 new high-efficiency boilers installed in 2004 save about 27% of energy each year. We've done numerous ADA upgrades. We remodeled the old attorney's offices into the new clerk of court, and in 2007 we installed a ventilation system in the courthouse that also recovers heat from the exhaust air. Our 100-year-old county courthouse is as graceful and stately today as it was a century ago, and it continues to embody our democracy's commitment to equal justice for all under the rule of law. Next, I would like to introduce Jennifer Ewan, who has a word from Senator Baucus.
Good afternoon. Max is back in D.C. currently. He sent a letter to celebrate this occasion. Hello, friends. This is truly a cause for celebration. For 100 years, the Missoula County Courthouse has been a central part of the community. I wish I could be there with you to commemorate this special day. Oh, if these walls could talk, they'd tell you of a young lawyer who opened up a law firm in Missoula back in 1971 and walked the halls of the Missoula County Courthouse seeking justice. It was a short time in the history of the courthouse, but a time I'll never forget. Here is a place where folks start new lives by getting married. It's a place where victims can seek justice before the law. It's also a place where folks exercise the sacred civic duty of voting. Today, we are not just celebrating a building, but the legacy of democracy and the stories of ordinary folks who've gone to extraordinary efforts to uphold our values of faith, family, hard work, and doing what's right. Thank you to everyone who made this day possible. All the best, Max.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next we have Montana James from Senator Tester's office.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here and having us here and celebrating with you. John also is on a plane back to D.C. today, so unfortunately he couldn't be here with us. But I'll read closer. All right. I just got a few words from John to read on behalf of you. Dear friends, thanks for for inviting me to share a few words as we celebrate the 100th birthday of the Missoula County Courthouse. First, let me say a word of thanks to all of the county employees who do the daily work of keeping the county government running smoothly. From registering cars, to paving roads, to administering elections, to maintaining and preserving the historical buildings of the county. Your work is what keeps our democracy thriving. We may not remember this as often as we should, but historical buildings like this are an important link to our past so that we can cherish the innovation of our forefathers and evolution of the democratic process. Enjoy the celebrations, take care, and keep in touch. Respectfully, John Tester. Thank you.
Thank you, Montana. Next, I'm honored to introduce to you Dr. Raphael Chacon, Professor of Art History and Criticism at the University of Montana and the author of The Original Man, The Life and Work of Montana Architect A.J. Gibson. Please welcome Professor Chacon.
Hello, Missoula. Good afternoon and welcome to this wonderful day. And isn't it a beautiful day in western Montana today? It's perfect. I am really glad to be here to celebrate this amazing celebration that, as you know, is long overdue. But I'd like to first thank Ann Hughes and Dr. Heather Cahoon for the invitation to join you this afternoon and share some words about the man most responsible for this magnificent work of art that we see before us. So thank you. And also a great thanks to the Missoula County Commissioners for all the great work that they've done to maintain this building in such beautiful shape over the years. So as I mentioned, this celebration is long overdue. Apparently on this day 100 years ago, the county commissioners and the supervising contractor met in the Florence Hotel to sign the final paperwork, pay the last bill, and turn over the keys. As far as we know, there was no cake and punch. None of the inaugural festivities we would expect for such an imposing monument at the heart of this county and city. I suspect there was no dedication for a number of reasons, controversies that I'll soon talk about. So it's only fitting that we celebrate today, because this is a splendid building, an architectural gem, and one of our treasured landmarks. This celebration is long, long overdue. I was recently teaching in Vienna, Austria, for the University of Montana School of Music, and I noticed a funny thing as I walked the streets of that beautiful capital city. Almost every building in the ring, the historic inner city, bears the name of its architect prominently inscribed on the facade, which tells me that either the Viennese are really proud of their beautiful architecture, or they really hold their architects publicly accountable for how their buildings shape the space and character of their city. While architect A.J. Gibson's name is on the bronze dedicatory plaque inside the courthouse, if you look up right, you can also see his name inscribed prominently on the facade of this fine building. As far as I know, it's the only architect's name on the outside of a major civic building in Missoula. And I think it's fitting. It's a fitting signature because this was clearly A.J. Gibson's masterpiece, a celebrated building that was eventually imitated by at least 2 other counties in the state of Montana. The Missoula County Courthouse is indeed a work of art designed by a self-taught man of genius. It was built at the pinnacle of Gibson's career. And as far as I know, the only other Gibson building of this prominence is the Daley Mansion outside of Hamilton, not too far from here, a building that celebrated its centennial not too long ago. However, as I point out in my book, in the chapter on this building, and by the way, the book is for sale in the first floor of the building also represents the lowest point in Gibson's career. And I argue that the controversy surrounding the competition for the commission, the choice of the architect, as well as problems with the construction of this building were most likely the catalyst for Gibson's retirement from architecture altogether. Most likely, it was those controversies that precluded any inaugural celebrations in 1910. Controversies, you may ask? Well, isn't this Missoula, Montana? Of course there were controversies. Suffice to say that between the announcement of the competition for the design of the building in February 1908 and the opening of the courthouse in July 1910, the press rode the commissioners for the process of selecting Gibson and held him personally accountable for all the negative aspects of the design and whatever construction delays there were. Notice, for example, the carved date above the spandrel and the 2 spandrels above the main portal, telling us that the commissioners were very, very optimistic that this building would open in 1908. but of course it opened in July 1910. So I believe that it was probably this embarrassment that explains why there were no public celebrations. We do know, however, that there were almost 2 contentious years of lawsuits and threats of lawsuits, court hearings, and a lot of hot air surrounding the commission, not to mention shipments of faulty materials, cost overruns, and construction delays. Nothing has changed. And the public weighed in. From the outset, the attacks on Gibson were personal and they were nasty. On February 1st, 1908, he received a now well-known piece of hate mail. The letter from a courthouse friend, quote unquote, now in the archives and special collections at the Mansfield Library, stated, "Gibson, we advise you to refuse to accept the proposition. We want to see a good courthouse. This is the last call and will not be repeated. Feathers and tar are waiting for you, some taxpayers." This is neither the time nor the place to go into the specific problems, but if you want to read more about it, the book is for sale in the basement development. And I also want to invite you to come and see the wonderful exhibition on A.J. Gibson's architecture and how this building fits into his entire career. And that exhibition is soon to open at the Montana Museum of Art and Culture on the university campus. In the end, this building and its architect received universal praise. It was the most beautiful courthouse in the state, and I believe that is still true. The Missoula Herald, the newspaper that put so much pressure on the county commissioners and dogged Gibson throughout the entire building process, wound up stating on its editorial page that the viewer, quote, "cannot but admit that it is a beautiful building that does great credit to the city and county." Now, A.J. Gibson responded with characteristic humor when he wrote in his scrapbook, quote, "See what the stinky-dinky paper says now." The Missoula County Courthouse is a magnificent building that reveals the powerful intellect and refined aesthetic sensibilities of a man of vision. A legend more so because he possessed only a 6th grade education. Gibson was a pioneer whose gumption and his gusto transformed many of our cities and towns into civilized places in western Montana, but especially this town. The Missoula County Courthouse is indeed his masterpiece, and we're lucky to be its steward some 10 decades later. This showy, somewhat bombastic, classicizing structure not only evokes the grandest architecture of the nation's heartland and its eastern coast, the imposing monuments of our capital city in Washington, D.C., but it also links us to in the American West to the architectural traditions of the great European capitals of Berlin, London, Paris, Rome, and Vienna. It signals both the maturation of a great county and of a great architect in the early 20th century. I want to invite you to spend some time exploring and admiring this courthouse, either in the tours that follow, led by Renee Taffy and Ted Hughes, Jason Bain, Philip Meckling, and Jim McDonald, or by visiting the upcoming exhibition at the Montana Museum of Art and Culture, where you'll see archival photographs, architectural drawings, and models of the building, and you'll get to explore it even further. So for now, let's just say thank you, A.J. Gibson, and thank you, Missoula.
Thank you very much for taking the call. I wonder if Erin Gabriel has any remarks for the congressman to make. I understand she's here now. While Erin's coming up, I'd like to thank Mr. Russ Nassett for the live music he'll be playing here for us. I'd like to thank Mr. Nathan Teray for the 100-year-old flag we've got at the top of the flagpole. And I'd also like to thank Ann Hughes again for her expert coordination with this event.
Hello, my name is Erin Gabriel, and I am the field representative for Congressman Burke. So I just want to say thank you for inviting our office to be here today. And I have a letter from Congressman. Dear friends, it's a pleasure to send my greetings as you gather for the Missoula County Courthouse Centennial celebration. When the Missoula County Courthouse was first opened on July 19, 1910, Missoula County had a population of approximately 24,000. On August 12th of that same year, Judge H.M. Small officiated the first wedding in the new courthouse to Chris Peterson and Miss Elizabeth Sapp. Today, Missoula County is home to well over 3,000 Montanans, and the courthouse remains an important cornerstone of the community. Thanks for all who were involved in the celebration, and please don't hesitate to contact my office if I can ever be of assistance. Thank you very much. Sincerely, Debbie Reaper.
Cohn noted, there'll be tours inside. We'd like to thank Renee Taffy, Ted Hughes from the Missoula Art Museum, Jason Bain, Curator of Collections for the Historical Museum, Philip Mickling, Missoula Historic Preservation Officer, and Jim McDonald of A&E Architects, and the current courthouse architect. You'll learn a lot by the tours that they're providing. We'd also like to thank representatives from the Montana Museum of Art and Culture who will be on hand today to talk about a selection of pieces temporarily displayed in our rotunda that represent a special preview of the fall 2010 exhibition of The Original Man, the life and work of Montana architect A.J. Gibson. We have lemonade and cake here and tours in the interior, so please come up and enjoy yourself. Thank you.
My favorite story actually, Diana told me this. On the third floor of the courthouse, when they used to have hearings in the courthouse, they weren't out here long. And on the third floor, so that way they would put the gallows, you still see the tiles on the courthouse, whether it's bird.